Hey everybody, welcome to the March 2020 housing update for Kitsap County. We've got a lot to talk about. I'm sure you're wondering how the coronavirus and the shutdown that we're about to go through is affecting the market, so we'll discuss that. We'll also take a look at what's happening with loans, interest rates, escrow, and showings, open houses, etc. So let's get at it. So first thing I want to talk with you about is the coronavirus and what's happening and how that's affecting the market and how it's not affecting the market. We have heard a number of rumors, people saying, oh my gosh, lenders aren't lending anymore, housing prices are going to go through the floor, etc. So don't pay attention to all the rumors. Here's what is and isn't happening. So with this 2-week shutdown coming up, obviously we cannot do any showings and we cannot do any open houses. We can still show you a house virtually if there is a virtual home tour that's on the site. And if there's not one and you're terribly interested in it, we might be able to give us a call. We might be able to connect with the seller, have them walk us through the house on their phone, record it, and then be able to share it with you. So technology, thank goodness, is allowing us to overcome a bit of this. But for the 2 weeks for the shutdown, starting tomorrow night at midnight, Wednesday night at midnight, we will not be able to go show houses. We will not be able to hold open houses, etc. So that is indeed happening. We're going to continue working on getting things ready to go for when the shutdown is lifted, when the stay-at-home order is lifted. So another rumor we've been hearing is that lenders aren't going to lend, that they're no longer lending money. That's not true. What's happening is the non-conforming loans. So 99% of our clientele is using a conforming loan. That's your VA loans, your FHA loans, your conventional loans that are just buying a house in the normal price ranges. Those loans are still happening and still happening just fine. And the interest rates are starting to settle down. I know if you've been watching, you've noticed them pop back up and then start to drop again. They will calm down. That's all a function of what's happening in the stock market. It's driven a little bit by what's happening with the coronavirus, but there's some other things at play as well. But the bottom line is lenders are still lending. Interest rates are still very good, and they're likely to come right back down to where they were. So it's still a very good time to be buying. So the other thing that people have been wondering about is, what about the transactions that are in progress? Are we going to actually be able to get anything recorded? Is escrow still working? Yes and yes. And the counties are maintaining enough staff that they can do the electronic recordings, which is the way things have been done for the last couple of years anyway. So that's really not going to be impacted much. Might be moving a little bit slower because of the lack of staffing. And escrow companies are really only doing things by appointment. You can't just walk in. They have to have an appointment with you for a signing, something like that. So it's making us operate a little bit differently, maybe a little bit slower, but things are still on track. We just put a house under contract yesterday. We anticipate being able to get it through the process despite what's happening with the stay-at-home order. So that's good. So if you are in the market and you're thinking about buying, I know you got a lot of time sitting at home probably to look through the MLS and look through the websites and see what's available. If something catches your eye, let us know. If we can get enough information to you, you feel comfortable making an offer virtually, there may be some advantages to that. Very few other buyers are out there, so maybe you won't end up in competition as much. That'd be a great thing. Gives you a little bit of an advantage as a buyer, which you haven't had in a long time. The last thing that we keep hearing people wonder about is, how's this affecting the market? What's our market really looking like? Is this going to make it crash? So let me hit you with some of the stats, what's actually happening in the market right now, and sort of clear that up for you. We did a little bit of research on the statistics about the last 2 or 3 weeks. You know, how many houses have been hitting the market, how many houses have been going under contract, how quickly, that sort of thing. And we just also received the same sort of research and information from the MLS and from John L. Scott. And it bears out what we've been feeling anyway, which is that the market is doing exactly what we expected it to in the spring. We have about 100 to 125 houses coming onto the market each week. About half of those go under contract in the first 7 days, and another 25 to 40% go under contract within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And that's in the under 500 price range. The over 500 price range, things are moving a bit slowly, but that's always been the case. So the bottom line is, this is very much what we're used to in the spring. Inventories are starting to creep up. We bottomed out at about 225 available units about a month ago, and as of today we're up to 325 units on the market, and we expect that to continue into the summer. Very normal. We get a rise in inventory this time of year, and it's feeling very similar to me to the last 23 years I've been doing this. So I don't feel a slowdown, and the numbers are not showing a slowdown. Now, this 2 weeks is going to be a bump in the road. That's happening, and it is going to slow some things down. It's going to throw the stats off a little bit. But in general, the basics of the market are still there. We have low inventories. We have a lot of people wanting and needing housing, maybe not for the next 2 weeks. So if you're a buyer and you still want to be in the market, it's a good time. But in general, it's going to be a very similar market to last year and the last couple of years. And we are going to see inventories come up. We are going to see demand come up. Prices are still going to go up. Interest rates are going to stay good. This is just a bump in the road. And I know that sometimes when things like this happen that we're not used to, we're not prepared for, it's a pretty major event to have our economy take this big of a hit and to be told, gee, stay home, don't go to work. It's easy to get very overly concerned and really start to worry about things in general. I want to give you something that my mom used to always tell me, and I have held it close to my chest for most of my adult life when I run into times that are a little bit difficult, and that is this. This too shall pass. This virus will work its way through. It'll be gone. A year from now, we'll all be looking back going, man, I remember last year, boy, wasn't that a bit of a mess, blah, blah. But the basics of the market are good. They're going to stay good. This really is just sort of a bump in the road. So we'll get through it. Call us if you have specific questions. Happy to chat in detail with you about this. We have a little bit more time on our hands since we're not showing things in person. So certainly have time for your phone calls or texts or whatever you like. And we'll talk to you again in a week or two. All right, thanks.